He's got the weapons of a Pirlo or a Beckham or a Gerrard.
He's got every single pass in the locker. There isn't anything he can't do.
Maybe we do go back for Bellingham because Trent's that good that we do think we need one or two as opposed to two or three.
A much maligned player in our team, and quite often rightly so, for languid football, for lazy football at times, for a lack of defensive positioning, which he wasn't in the team for. And Sam raises his eyes to heaven, and I get that. I've long told rival fans that at the start of the season, Trent's remit for Jurgen Klopp was to go and challenge Kevin De Bruyne for assists, not Aaron Wan-Bissaka for slide challenges. There's the difference.
Yeah.
The rest of the world needs to get onto that. Klopp's actually said it in an interview himself that's why he's in the team. If we concede goals there, you let me worry about that. And we don't dig Trent out for it. Manchester City recently put John Stones into an inverted defensive midfield position to sit alongside Rodri, and it's paid dividends for them. John Stones is an accomplished centre-back who can use the ball well in terms of giving it simple, the right pass at the right time to set things off. In doing the same with Trent, and I'm going to go big on this one, this guy uses a football like no one else.
No one else?
Like no one else. Ridiculous, the skill set the guy's got. First-time passes, the range of passing, the awareness. He really showed up last night. Every time that we had the ball, he was in position to receive the ball all the time, popped it off and often took a little knock for doing it. That was a totally different Trent in that position last night because he had the freedom to run the game. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Trent controlled that game last night for Liverpool for an hour. He was controlling the game. This could be a tactical nuance that Klopp incorporates that makes Trent the best in the world at that position. We talked about him being the best in the world from right back because of his creative side of his game, not necessarily the defensive side of his game. This is totally different because there's been reference that Konate will cover the space behind him. Depending on who we recruit in the summer to play in midfield, if it's another three, then good bit of communication sees someone do what Henderson did, which is go and sit in the space that's been vacated. Yeah. Trent was absolutely magnificent last night. I watch him use a ball. We sit here and we wax lyrical about Thiago's on the ball skills. Thiago will play 3 or 4 passes in the game, which you sit there and you scratch your head and go, who's that to? Because he overhits one by 50 yards. He forces his passes into feet. With Trent, it's an absolutely natural position for him. His awareness of his teammates around him. Sam, he's got every single pass in the locker. There isn't anything he can't do. He can hit the long balls out wide to Robertson, which we've seen time and time again. He can play the outside of the right boot. First timers down the line to Salah, we've seen that. Jota away at Arsenal in the League Cup. That was a very similar pass to the one last night into Núñez. Got everything in his locker, mate. I'm really excited about this.
Listen, and also I think what I want to talk a little bit about his position because I think this has been a long time coming. I'll explain why in a minute. But in terms of the goals, I mentioned before about the old Liverpool. The Núñez goal last night and the Núñez goal at Newcastle is the new Liverpool. It's Trent tucking into a space and clipping the ball over the last line of defence to an ongoing running striker. Nobody's been able to really do that before. Listen, the odd time you might have seen Henderson, Thiago do it, but in reality, that's an elite ball and it's got to be weighted perfectly, which means we don't really try it. It's vertical as well. It's not with a bit of angle on it. It's a straight ball curled in. So I think that's the kind of goal that you might see more of in the future, which I think is amazing. In terms of Trent, we this has been the plan, I think, all season. I think that, I know we talk about John Stones and all that, but the difference with John Stones doing it now is that City haven't got a right back, and it's been something they've had to develop. So John Stones is playing right back here in the season without doing that. We tried it at the beginning of the season, but we weren't able to do it properly because Konate wasn't fit and Henderson wasn't fit for a while. So although Trent was tucking in, he was having to tuck in further up the pitch. He wasn't able to tuck in immediately because we didn't have Konate. Then Gomez isn't in the form and Matip can't do it. So I think this is something Klopp's been trying to do for a while, but because this season's been absolutely chaotic, we've got no injuries to senior players now, none. Pacetic and Ramsey aren't senior players, as much as we appreciate them, or especially Pacetic. I think we've been trying to do this for a while, and I think now we're seeing the fruits of it. What was it? Southgate tried them centre mid once. It was just a way at somewhere crap. But I think I totally agree with you. I think Trent's got every pass in the book, and I think this could be Liverpool beyond Thiago. Or if we haven't got Thiago in the side, we're not lacking that creativity because you've got Trent in there. I mean, God knows what they both could do if they're both in form for a while. But I think that's where we might move to. If Thiago isn't going to be a starting player expected to start every game next year when he's fit, is that having Trent in there might replicate what Thiago does, but with a bit more flexibility, and you can still have 3 more midfielders who can do different roles.
I agree. You're totally right. And what Trent is really good at, if you go and spend the time looking at the stats, Trent's an interceptor. He's always been a great interceptor. He leads the stats on interceptions. He's in the top 3 or 4 in European football for interceptions. That's his game. He's in a great position to do that. Really interesting, Jamie, that Sam mentioned Stefan Bajcetic in his summary there. That would be a player that would be equally adept at covering that space that he leaves, because that boy started his life as a centre-back and he's become a centre midfielder. So his first thought naturally is, what's the worst thing that can happen here? Well, he's advanced to me, so I need to cover his space. What we could see in a slightly different format, in a slightly different shape, is a chemistry developing in our midfield where we've got that cover, we've got that fluid midfield that's really difficult to get through, that we had with the 3 that formed all that success.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that there's been this debate, hasn't there, of right back or central midfield. Like, what about both at the same time? As long as Bajcetic could, that's a good point actually. And I think ironically, sometimes I think Trent's first, I can never say these 2 words, first thought is attacking. I always think like defenders need to have like a warning siren going off which I don't think Alberto Moreno ever had. Something was like, there could be trouble here. There could be trouble here. I feel like Trent, his thing is, how can I hurt the opposition? Which is a brilliant thing to have, but as long as you've got someone there who can cover him. There's been, I think Lahm did this a bit under Guardiola and Kimmich has done it, but I think Trent has got the weapons that nobody else has in that. He's got the weapons of a Pirlo or a Beckham or a Gerrard, in terms of the passing ability. So I'm really looking I was screaming blue murder 20 minutes in against Arsenal, going, why are we trying this now? But after that, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this is going to go, and we're going to get some midfield reinforcements. I don't know how the chemistry is going to work, but that's, as long as we've got, Canate needs to stay fit, cover that right hand side. I mean, Gomez, if he's fully confident, I'd maybe see doing that role.
Sam was right. Just to interject, Sam was right. A fit Gomez can play in those positions to cover, because he is mobile. But it's confidence. When Moni makes a mistake, you might as well bring him off because he gets inside his own head, and then they come and like botch loads of him, don't they? What I thought was interesting last night, to sort of come to a conclusion on the Trent piece and give him his credit because he's worth it, is when he picked up the ball, Leeds stood off him quite a lot. So he's controlling the game by the fact that what Leeds are doing is saying, this guy can kill us with his passing range. So what I'm going to do is, when Trent's on the ball, Garcia's obviously said, when he picks up the ball, if they do that today, boys, that's your man, that's your man, that's your man, that's your man. Do not allow those guys to be free because I don't want them found. That's going to be the next evolution of that role. How do we circumnavigate when people allow Trent to have the ball and then deep and try to shut down his options? I think that's the next thing for Liverpool to do. And that's where our recruitment in the summer comes in. If we get a McAllister, a Mount, I'm just speculating here, over the line, they're different players that can give you something different. And in Trent, you've got Sam, you've got someone who can find those players. The sort of their pass before the assist, the thing that the Bundesliga eulogised over Thiago for years, mate.
The packing stats, which is what another thing that Keita is really good at. Yeah, I think movement is the answer to that question as well, which comes into what you say. One of the great things about Curtis is he likes to drift left, which helps Robbo and also supports Robbo and helps the left winger because then they can invert and do what they do. I think having players who do that, it'll be really important. I think, do you know last night Trent had the second most touches in a game of football from an individual player this year, and bearing in mind how many of the lower teams, City have probably played at home and they've just give the ball to Rodri every 2 seconds, but it was 153 touches, I believe, the second most touches in the Premier League this season by an individual player. Amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats that in a couple of the home games this season. I think he's a wonderful player. I'm really excited to see how this develops. I'm intrigued to see if Liverpool actually go big on a centre half this year. So we've got 2 Canates, who knows? But I think I think what that does, and seeing this squad fully fit now with a little run, little something to go for, come on, get back in this race, guys. I'm intrigued to see who stakes their claim, because I also believe that, or as much as I think that summer business is kind of well underway, I think there's a couple of players who are on the fence with Klopp. Like, you might be looking at Fabinho, Thiago, Curtis, and thinking, you've got 9 games now to prove to me that you still be part of my next evolution in this team. So I think I'm really intrigued to see how Trent goes, how those little relationships build between him and the aforementioned, because I think that could be a big part of what when we actually get to pull on the trigger. You know, who knows? Maybe we do go back for Bellingham because Trent's that good that we do think we need 1 or 2 as opposed to 2 or 3. You know, who knows?